vein, I'm Ummul Choudhury, and I'm a British Bengali. I'm a linguist, traveller, writer, and I'm CEO of Capoeira4Refugees. I lead an organisation that is using the wonderful art form of capoeira throughout the Middle East and actually beyond as well. Capoeira was born out of slavery in 16th century Brazil. It was a tool used to build communities and deal with oppression. It consists of live music, sport, fun, play, essential for the human spirit, which is why it's so relevant in the context that we use it today, which is with conflict-impacted communities. We work with local communities and we train up local trainers. We also work with existing capoeira groups, and we create safe spaces where young people can come in, learn the art form, but as part of that process, they're making friends, they create a community of trust, and they can also access other services through that group and through that network. It's especially essential in these communities because there's a lot of child abuse. It's very hard to access these communities because they have mental health issues. So creating a safe space where they can express frustration, violence, and a lot of anger about an unknown future and quite a hard and difficult present through music and play is incredibly empowering for young people and for communities as a whole. So we work in some of the most difficult to reach places on the planet, I would say. So we're working in actual refugee camps, such as in Jordan, like Zaatari refugee camp, Azraq refugee camp. These are security enclosed places where they host, sort of thousands upon thousands of people. Azraq hosts around 40,000 people. We also work in host communities. So 70% of refugee populations, they actually live amongst the host communities. And they generally face issues of impoverishment. A lot of men or young men are still fighting in the war or being part of a military back in Syria, for example. And so you have a lot of vulnerable young children, and especially women, who are sitting in these host communities. So it's very important that we use sort of innovative tools to access them. We currently have projects running in Jordan, in Turkey, in Palestine, and we're opening up in Germany as well. So since 2007, we've reached over 60,000 young people. So to access a refugee camp, you need to get security clearance because they're run by the military and they're also watched by the special secret agencies, for example, in Jordan. So that takes a lot of administrative work and partnership building. We work with communities who have mental health issues and they face trauma. So accessing them and working with them and working within a culture that does not necessarily see sport and play as the most essential thing for their children can be difficult. There are generally military incursions, riots, demonstrations, people getting shot. We have to deal with that as well. So money transfers as well in a climate where terrorism and sending money to the Middle East region is very challenging. So we can get funds stopped. So we may not be able to money may not reach our project, so we spend a lot of administrative time dealing with this. Yeah. So in terms of the parents and actually the facilitators and community centres and community leaders, they're absolutely just blown away by the incredible impact it has on their children, because they say that, my son or my daughter wasn't speaking very much, they didn't have friends, they're really angry, I couldn't talk to them anymore. But since they started capoeira, they're coming home and they're practicing movements, they're singing songs, and they can sing with the parents. And they just feel like there's life being blown back into their young people through the capoeira activities. And we've had that response time and time again across all the projects that we run. And parents get heavily involved as well in the children's activities. So if there's a live show or a demonstration, they can come and join in. And this kind of lifting of the spirit as a community is very, very important in a refugee context, and actually in every context. So we see that there's a lot of attitude change, for example, with our trainers, bearing in mind we've worked since 2007, so we really do understand how to work in a local context. But we see that young children and teenagers and youth, for girls themselves, they feel much more empowered and confident. And there's a realization that they can use their bodies the same way as perhaps a male can do, and that they have much more power than they realized. Essentially, they also realize that they own their own bodies, so they can say no. And no is a type of protection for a girl or a young woman, that they own their space, that they can say no. And it's also part of capoeira training that you learn to own your own space, and you understand the relationship with somebody else who can come into your space who can't, and you can tell them no. And that's a very powerful thing. And we see a lot of evolving in terms of the attitudes of males as well, because we do classes with boys and girls who may never have had the opportunity to play together in the same forum. We also do public demonstrations. We also train our trainers on identifying abuse in children and young people, and then having systems set up to refer them to partners that we work with in the location, so that we can actually deal with these issues. And time again, we've actually seen that our trainers have come back and said, my attitude has changed. There's possibility. Girls can do things and so can boys. It's a fantastic community, and we're so glad to be a part of it. We would love, obviously, for capoeira players to come and share their skills in the projects that we work on. To also, if they could do sort of a fundraising huda and live stream it, that would be fantastic. And to also join our different social media streams and join our dialogue and conversations about what capoeira as a whole is doing for vulnerable communities across the world. We have a volunteer roles advertised on our website, and any capoeirista is absolutely free to get in touch with us if they feel that they have a skill set that they could share and time that they could share in the communities that we work within.